Hello friends, this is Benjamin here, and in today's video we shall be talking about the basic elements of sentence. Let's get started. Basic elements of sentence. This topic is taken from my book Good Success in English, published in Amazon.com. If you want to obtain a copy of this book, you can write to me through my email address, which is benjamininfo33@gmail.com. Of course, I will send you a link directly into your email box, which you can simply click on, and it will give you access directly to Amazon.com bookshelf, where my books are displayed. Then you can get a copy of the book. On the other hand, if you want to get a copy of this book directly from the author here in Nigeria and probably pay in Naira, you can indicate when you write to me. I will send an electronic copy of the book directly into your email box as well, which you can download in your phone, in your laptop, in your iPad, or any other electronic device you are using. So let's get started with the topic of today, basic elements of sentence. A sentence in English contains 5 basic elements, which are the subject, the verb, object, complement, and adjunct. Now, there are a whole number of benefits we can derive from studying the basic elements of the sentence. When you understand the structure of the English sentence and how the basic elements of the sentence are combined to convey ideas with sentences, of course, it increases your linguistic competence. It enables you to use language creatively. This, of course, agrees with what a notable American grammatical theorist said. His name is Noam Chomsky, who is notable for what is known as the Transformational Generative Grammatical Theory, or what people call the Chomskyan grammar. He said that the creative aspect of language enables a competent user of that language to generate unlimited number of sentences. And that is what you gain when you study the sentence and you master, the various structures of the English sentence. It will give you the ability to use a variety of English sentences, and that will increase your language power. So let's look at these basic elements of the English sentence. We have said it is SVOCA, subject, verb, object, complement, adjunct. We shall be looking at the various structures that are possible, that we can have of an English sentence. The first structure is the V structure, and V stands for the verb. The verb is a word that expresses the action, experience, or state of being of the subject in a sentence. So when we use the word go, of course, we can use it as an imperative, as a command. If you tell someone go, it is understood. So the word go can be seen as a complete sentence in English. In other words, the shortest sentence we can have in English is usually an imperative sentence, a sentence that issues a command or gives an instruction or an order. If you say go or come, stand, sit, leave, these are verbs, and each verb can convey complete meaning. The reason is that the subject is implied and not pronounced in such a sentence. The person you are talking to is the second person personal pronoun, who is the person being talked to, and you don't have to say you go. the person you are talking to understands you are talking to them. So when you simply say go, it is already understood. So the V structure is the first structure we can have of the English sentence. Then the second structure is the SV structure, which is the subject-verb structure. Example, Jane sings. Jane is the subject and sings is the verb. Of course, we have explained the verb as the word that expresses the action, as we can see it in this sentence. But then the subject is the doer of the action being expressed by the verb. So Jane is the doer of the action of singing. So when we say Jane sings, Jane is the performer here. The next structure is SVO, subject, verb, object. An example is Jane sings songs. Jane sings songs. Jane is the subject, sings is the verb, and songs is the object. The object is the receiver of the action. Jane is the subject, the doer of the action. The verb sings reports the action, and the action is received by the object. Now let's give another example to throw more light on this object as a receiver of action. If we say Jane killed a cat, of course you can appreciate the action being received by the object here, because the cat received the action of killing, and so the object is always the thing or the person being acted upon. Now let's look at the next structure, SVA, which is subject, verb, adjunct. Now Jane sings beautifully. Jane is the subject, sings is the verb, beautifully is the adjunct. The adjunct is usually an adverbial, and it expresses meanings that it gives additional information to the meaning of the verb. So beautifully is simply is a simple adverb, and if you look at the root meaning of adverb, add verb, it adds meaning to a verb. So if we say Jane sings, of course we need something to add meaning to tell us exactly either what Jane sings, or how Jane sings, or when Jane sings, or where Jane sings. And of course, when we talk of when, where, how, all these ideas are expressed by the adjunct. So Jane sings how? Beautifully. This is an adjunct of manner. The next structure is the SVC structure, subject, verb, complement. And the example is Jane is a singer. Jane is the subject, is the verb, and a singer is the object. Is the complement, please. Now, a complement can be explained from two perspectives. The first perspective is looking at the complement as a word or a group of words that completes the meaning of the verb. So if we say Jane is, and we just pause there, somebody will naturally ask, is what? And then when we say is a singer completes the meaning of is. Then from the other perspective, we can look at the complement as a description of the subject, because a singer is telling us more about Jane, is describing Jane. Who is a singer? Jane. You know, what is Jane? A singer. So that is exactly what the complement does. The next structure is SVOC structure, subject, verb, object, complement. And the example is John considers Jane brilliant. John is the subject, considers is the verb, Jane is the object, and brilliant is the complement. The complement here is a different type of complement. While the previous complement is a complement of the subject, this complement is a complement of the object. So John considers Jane, and then we pause. Somebody will ask, considers Jane what? And when we say brilliant, we are saying what Jane is considered to be. So brilliant is the object complement in this sentence. The next structure is SVOO, which is subject, verb, object, object. We have two objects here. Example, Dad gave Mark a wristwatch. Dad is the subject, gave is the verb, Mark is the object, and the wristwatch is another object. Now, let's look at the difference between these two objects. Now, one is a direct and the other one is a direct, the other is the indirect. Now, before Dad gives Mark a wristwatch, of course, Dad first picks the wristwatch. So the wristwatch receives the direct action from the giver, and that is why the wristwatch is the direct object. It is after the wristwatch has been acted upon that the action is extended to Mark. So in this case, a wristwatch is the direct object while Mark is the indirect object. So we can denote Mark as OI, which is indirect object, and we can denote a wristwatch as the OD, which is the direct object. Let's look at the next structure, which is SVOOA, subject, object, object, adjunct. And the example is, he bought Rose a car last year. He is the subject, bought is the verb, Rose is the object, a car is another object, last year is an adjunct. Now we have explained all these other ones, in fact all of them, but let's throw more light on the adjunct. If we say he bought Rose a car and we put a full stop here, one of the questions that should arise is when did he buy Rose a car? The answer is last year. And so this type of adjunct is called the adjunct of time because it indicates when the action took place. The next structure of the sentence we can have is the VSVOA structure. Verb, subject, verb, object, adjunct. This is a variation. This structure is a variation from the previous structures we have seen, except the first one. And so each of these other structures has always started with the subject, but here the verb begins the entire sentence, and this happens when we ask a question. So example here is, did you see John yesterday? Now again, when we look at this, if we say did you see John and we put a question mark, then someone will ask when, and the answer is yesterday, you know. So this again is the adjunct of time. Now the next structure is ASVAA, adjunct, subject, verb, adjunct, adjunct. And the example is, yesterday Jane sang beautifully at the assembly. Now the core words in this sentence are Jane sang. And so if we say Jane sang and we put a full stop, many questions will naturally arise. And it is interesting to note that all the questions arising after we have said that Jane sang are all answered by adjuncts. So if we say Jane sang and someone asks when, then we can answer yesterday, how, beautifully, where, at the assembly. That gives us more insight into what the adjuncts can do within the sentence structure. They provide additional pieces of information that will add meaning to the verb or the action repeated in the sentence. The action here is singing. When did the singing take place? Yesterday. How did it happen? Beautifully. Where did it happen? At the assembly. adjuncts provides answers to all this. The next structure is ASVCAA, adjunct, subject, verb, complement, adjunct, adjunct. And the example is, truly God is good to his people at all times. Now the core words are God is good, and the questions that can arise include how, truly, to whom, to his people, when, at all times. So these are the various elements, the basic elements of sentence, and how they can combine to give us various sentence structures in English. And of course, we have already seen the importance of studying the basic elements of sentence. As I said before, being knowledgeable about the basic elements of sentence, and in fact the entire sentence structure, will increase your ability to use English language creatively, in line with the theory propagated by Noam Chomsky, the creative aspect of language. Now, this is how it has been. In today's video, we have been looking at basic elements of the sentence, and as I earlier said, this topic is taken from my book entitled Good Success in English, published on Amazon.com. If you are interested in getting a copy, you can write to me via my email address, benjamininfo33@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are interested in getting other series of videos that are constantly uploaded in this channel. I want to thank you for watching today's video, and I want to encourage you to keep learning, because learning is essential, very critical to survival and success in life. So I wish you well, and I want to say stay safe, and see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.